Here's some news articles. Elon Musk continues to be ridiculous and childish, the kind of way nobody responsible for such important things should be. So he hates Wikipedia for some unknown reason. He said Wikipedia shouldn't need to ask for donations all the time because you could just download the whole thing to your cell phone, which I think is not true at all. I mean, I don't really know how large Wikipedia is, but I think it's pretty big. And so now he claims he'll give them $1 billion if they change their name to Dickopedia. So I doubt he will really do that. He has quite a history of promising people money and then not coming through. For example, I think about 2 years ago, someone wanted to do something about world hunger, and he said, "You can't fix world hunger. If you have a real plan, I'll pay for it." And they had a plan to end world hunger for like $8 billion, and he just didn't pay. Just like Donald Trump keeps talking about how he's going to donate money, and then he just doesn't do it. So anyway, it's these are the way oligarchs act, like spoiled children. It's not healthy. That's all. So this is very interesting, I think. So Cisco had a very serious vulnerability. They had an authentication bypass where you could just take over Cisco devices, and there were a lot of them exposed. So by a week ago, 42,000 Cisco devices were under control of criminals, and now they have all had the backdoors removed. And it's highly unlikely that the administrators got the message and turned it off. It's more likely, they say, that the criminals removed the back door because whoever was doing this didn't really want it to be widespread and known. So perhaps this was not a typical criminal gang just trying to steal a lot of credit card numbers, but something like a military operation where they were hoping to sneak quietly onto a few devices and hide there and not get caught. This has happened before. Arguably, it's what happened with Stuxnet. Their military activities that were supposed to just attack a few machines quietly, but leaked out and infected a lot of machines until they got caught. But anyway, for whatever reason, almost all of them have removed the back door. So this has happened a few times. One of the most famous ones, there was a Windows worm that infected us back in the days of Windows XP, had like 7 different generations of worm, infected millions of machines, and scared people for years, but they never did anything. They never used it to steal any information or perform any attack, and after a while, everybody just got it cleaned off. It's strange mysteries that I guess we'll never know unless somehow the criminals write their memoirs or something. So this one was another scary activity having to do with third party. There's something called the Harvest app. I don't know what it is, but they had OAuth tokens from Microsoft accounts, and they exposed them openly where anybody could steal them for 3 years. And the vulnerability researchers told them, and they just couldn't get any answer out of them for 3 years. So that's pretty gruesome. And this is why you really need to consider third-party security. You need to consider what other companies have your secrets, and are they being careful with them, because often they aren't. This is very surprising to me. The U.S. government login site, login.gov, is going to turn on facial recognition tech. Now, everybody else is turning off facial recognition tech. Microsoft has abandoned it. Many companies have abandoned it because it's turned out to be a terrible idea. It fails too often and keeps getting the wrong people accused. So I'm surprised they've added it, but the General Services Administration is changing their digital identity service to allow you to identify yourself with facial recognition matching your previously submitted government ID. So it's going to have a database of all your faces, and it's going to match you to it. So there are just so many things that can go wrong. In the first place, it's usually very easy to fool these with like just a photograph of your face. And in the second place, this means you have a database of faces, so it's a target of being hacked and so on. Anyway, it is a strange thing to do, but this is going to be a lot of government agencies are apparently going to use it, and we'll see what comes of it. Of course, a lot of people use it casually. Like now, some airlines, I think Delta, now uses your face as your boarding pass. They have facial recognition, and they scan you as you go on instead of you carrying a boarding pass. So again, they made the same dangerous decision that they're going to maintain a database of faces, and they are going to trust it. Both of those are highly questionable decisions, I think. But anyway, a few people are doing it. Most people are running away from it. And here's another one. There's a book that just came out from Kashmir Hill about this group, the massive facial recognition search. Oh, not this one. It's a different article. There's a facial recognition search engine, and New York Times wrote an article saying this is very dangerous if you let people search for children this way. Pedophiles, I think, will attack children, so they now block searches for children's faces. Then the question is, how do they know a child's face? I guess they have an AI they think can identify a child's face. This reminds me of another app. I tried to test the Android app about a year ago, an app for women only. It would scan your face and try to decide if you're a woman. And that started a huge round of protest from all the women who would fail and all the transgender women and all kinds of things. There's just a bunch of hazards you run into in this stuff that you could avoid. And here's the other one I was thinking of. Clearview AI is the company that Kashmir Hill just wrote a book about. Clearview AI scraped the internet and got all the faces off Facebook and everywhere else without permission and made a gigantic database and then made tools for police agencies to use it to scan for people, basically having everyone's face in the world. And that turned out to be a huge privacy nightmare, and I thought they got sued and punished, but in Britain, they just got let off the hook. They got sued for invasion of privacy, but they have escaped punishment for this. So apparently they can continue doing this. And so, it might actually be helpful for law enforcement if they remember not to trust it too much. But when your only evidence is an AI face recognition match, you shouldn't trust that too much, any more than like one eyewitness testimony. Anyway, all right. Looks like they're blocking Russian sites at the City College firewall. That would probably match other things. Anyway, yeah, I'm not using danger zone. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. It's sort of interesting to see what they're blocking. Anyway, so this I would sure like to learn more about. Today, someone tried to crash a flight to San Francisco, an Alaska Airlines flight, and I guess off-duty pilot, I wonder what he was doing. The pilot was in the cockpit, and he is accused of attempted murder by trying to crash the plane as it's coming to San Francisco with 80 passengers aboard. So that's pretty scary. And okay. It looks like they've added more to this article since I read it this morning. Okay. Anyway, that's not good. All right. And so I saw a vulnerability, and it was the 25,000th vulnerability this year or something in the CVE list. That made me wonder how many, that seems like an awful lot. I remember in CVEs did not go to 5 digits. So I just did some searches to find information about about CVE vulnerabilities, and I thought it was very interesting. Like, for example, I like their subhead. Can you guess what product has the most CVEs? I would got it wrong. Anybody got a guess? What company or what product has the most CVEs? If you're kind of out of date like me, I would have said Microsoft, certainly in the year 2000, or year 2005 probably, you would say Microsoft is most of maybe Adobe, but that's not it at all. It is Android by a mile. And after that, Chrome. Google is responsible for more vulnerabilities than anything else. So here are Android, 1,200 CVEs, nobody else is even close. Number 2 is Chrome with 400, and everybody else is small. Linux is ahead of Windows. There's quite a few surprises here. And even if you consider the critical ones, the black ones, it's the same pattern. Android by a mile, then Chrome, Microsoft much less. So, Microsoft, ever since Windows 2000, Microsoft has been trying to improve their security, and it looks like they've pretty much succeeded in improving their security by now. And Android has been pretty terrible all along and continues to be pretty terrible. And here's another similar one. Let's see if there's some way to get past this garbage. Okay. There's another list of interesting facts about CVEs. And there's something I thought was fun. Here, this is the one I thought. This is what I originally wanted, was a chart showing how many CVEs there are per year. And this is how many CVEs there are per week, starting in 2007. So there used to be about 100 per week, and now it's up to like 500 per week. So that's what I thought. It really has been going way up. Now, this may be because we're better at finding them. The same thing I say about everything else like diseases, or maybe there's just more products and more mistakes being made. But anyway, I certainly see a lot more CVEs go by. And I think what's happening is people are using more and more software from more and more vendors, and the total number of vulnerabilities keeps going up, which is related to what the expert in ransomware said a few weeks ago on Paul's security podcast, that nobody can stop the ransomware. There are so many holes, so many things running on your network, you're running something vulnerable that will let them in. That appears to be true in practice. Chrome is going to add IP protection, which sounds like it's more or less like Tor. They're going to route your traffic through proxies, and they're going to add a second bunch of proxies later, they say, so it'll bounce through 2 proxies. Now, Tor bounces it through 3 proxies, so whatever Chrome is doing is almost as good. I don't know why they're doing this, but I can see some marketing reasons. I mean, Google is the #1 invader of your privacy. They spy on everybody with third-party cookies, and so they're trying to add privacy protections to make it sort of less obvious that they're spying on you all the time. So hiding your IP address is an interesting issue, although it seems like Google would still know your IP address. So I'm not sure it provides you any privacy against them. Anyway, I'm not really sure why a normal user would want to hide their IP address, but you can with any VPN service would hide your IP address. Anyway, I don't know why this is a high priority thing for them to add, but they are adding it. So that's an interesting thing. And this is very interesting. The new attack, the new DOS attack that just happened, comes from HTTP2. In HTTP2, you can send a request and then you can cancel the request. Now, just like earlier versions of HTTP, you can send 100 requests in one TCP socket. So you don't need to redo the handshake. But in HTTP2, if you cancel a request, it doesn't count towards your total of 100. So you can send an unlimited number of requests followed by cancels, all in one stream, and in fact, as many as you can fit into one packet. So that means you can make multiple requests and cancel them in one packet. And what they point out here, that means you can reduce the delay between your request and response to it to 0, essentially. All of it can enter the computer in one packet. So this makes race conditions local. If you have a race condition, which is quite common in computers, where something is saved somewhere and there's a temporary brief period in which you can write to something you shouldn't be able to write or something, you usually can't exploit it over the internet because the traffic can't get in fast enough. But now you can combine multiple requests in a single packet so they all enter the computer instantaneously, making it possible to do attacks with no time delay between them. A very interesting point. So this is also related to another vulnerability that had been hit, but I've heard a couple of years ago, which is that most home devices, smart home devices, if you log in from the local network, they don't make you log in at all. They trust you. If you're on the home network, they assume you're authorized to administer the device. And there are complicated attacks like DNS rebinding, where you send traffic from the internet and try to trick the local network into believing it's local. But this looks like another way to do it. To send traffic which will be interpreted as local traffic. So anyway, interesting stuff. Now I'm going to stop the news.